Welcome to On the Same Page. I'm your host, Ryan Dalton, and this is our second to last episode of On the Same Page. I can't believe we're here almost completely through this book study. This episode is on the last chapter, and we are here at the Putnam County Library. This is sort of a kind of a two-part finale. In the next episode next week, we're going to invite some more friends in here. So we needed a bit of a bigger space. So we're here. But before we invite them in, we're going to this week discuss the conclusion of the book. And the conclusion of the book is actually just a couple of pages long. It's not that big, but it's a good kind of bookend in the book to end it all, wrap it all up. So before we get into it, I want to let my wonderful guests introduce themselves, and we'll start over here, and everybody can introduce themselves.
I'm Virginia Fillers. I've been covering a lot of the risky play content during this whole study. I'm the director at Soul Song Montessori Parents Day Out at First Presbyterian Church, and I've got a child in 6th grade at Allgood Middle School.
I'm Lisa Uhrik with Plenty Bookshop, a nonprofit downtown in Cookeville. Also, a couple of manufacturing organizations. I work with a lot of justice-involved individuals, which is going to be relevant to this topic, and love linking our community. So.
Awesome.
I'm Rebecca Shearman. I'm a 2nd grade teacher in Putnam County. I'm just liking to be able to connect with the community.
And I'm Jill Ramsey. I'm a Putnam County School Board member. Good to be here. I'm also a mom and a nana most of all.
Yes, yes. And that is what got me into this. Partially.
Wait, you a papa now?
No, I'm not a,
Hold
no.
on, I know both of your daughters.
Yes, no.
What's
As a
her name?
parent, I will say, yeah, you're a nana, but something had to happen before you became a nana, which you have your own children. But yeah, I'm not a grandparent yet.
Except to the silicone baby doll.
Yes, my children have those reborn baby dolls. So I am in that, and it's really weird. And this is totally off topic, but I think it's important for people to know this. When you're holding one of those realistic babies, it seems like a real baby, and I'll just be sitting there doing it, and they'll leave the room, and I'm still sitting there. So, anyways, I am a grandparent.
Great yes, great fact.
Yes. I read this book. It was still within this year, but last school year. Finished it over spring break. And what really hit me was a lot of things that I'd seen in the classroom with students. It made those things make sense. But then I also read the parts like how it impacts girls, the whole chapter on how girls are specifically impacted. And even now, if I talk about that too much, I will tear up because I think about my own 2 girls. And in that chapter, he talks about that one young girl who had gotten on Instagram at the age of 10, and she had to be hospitalized due to self-harm, and how she had written in her journal these horrible things about herself, and it was all due to her presence on Instagram and seeing these images of women and girls that are photoshopped, that are not true, they're filtered, that she felt like she could not achieve, and then all these hateful comments about her. And it really made me, it took my breath away, and it made me take a step back and say, I have promised my own child a smartphone when she gets in middle school, which for my oldest daughter is next year. And she's 9, about to be 10. And that this book made me say, hold on, let me pump the brakes. I'm not doing that. But when I think about why this impacted me, it impacted me first as a parent, like you say, first as a nana. It impacted me as a parent because I want my kids to live. I want them to be resilient. I want them to be strong. I want them to be able to socialize with their peers, think for themselves, critically think, have motivation. And I don't want them to experience the negative impacts that we've seen, the spike in depression, the spike in anxiety, and all of these things. So as a parent, I was moved. And as an educator, I was doubly moved because I see this in middle schools all the time. So that's what kind of got me into this, and I'm so pleased. All these conversations we've had, the weekly talks with different people who have come in, and some of you have been on. I think all of you have been on the other episodes at some point. It's really been such a pleasure and so great to connect and so great to speak about this and to see the conversations happening throughout the community. So I want to thank you all for being a part of this from the beginning, each of you in your own ways, and being a part of this conversation. And it's really a privilege to have you here on this kind of second to final episode, but the conclusion of the book. I'm thankful for you all.
Well, you're an architect and of this great movement and such an energizing force, and we're so thankful that you lit this fire and that it's going. I didn't mention that I never gave birth, but I'm a grandmother. I have 17 that call me grandmother, or Mops or Lily, and I get to watch this too. And there are a couple of families within our family that are very careful and are doing the thing that other parents aren't doing, and their kids have been the children have been very confused and mad about that sometimes, like, why can't we when others are? And this book and this whole movement has given them, those same children are like, Mom and Dad kind of had that right.
Yeah.
And there's, and we're working on things. It's given them a normalcy or a chance to have purchase. And I see at least one of my granddaughters and how moved by social media she is, and just needing skincare and wrinkle cream at the age of 9, 10, 11.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. That's coming to you as a self, so I read that if you cancel 7 selfies that Sephora pushes an ad.
Yeah.
So this is how we're getting these young kids who think they need wrinkle cream and the 20-somethings with all we're seeing it in our families and on all the sides, that people are trying to make the good decisions and the hard decisions, and maybe as a community we can support them and lean into them, and the others that are struggling, and it's so easy, and it just breaks your heart.
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that, because I raised 2 daughters, and when I said I'm a Nana first, that's really about the fact that I've raised 2 daughters, one a millennial and one a Gen Zer, and see radical differences in how they approach the cell phone. And I know we went through some really dark times with both my girls. And when I read this the first time, I think it resonated so much with me, because we didn't know. We didn't know the reason why. They didn't know. They couldn't voice that, but they knew they had extreme anxiety. And so knowing that now, I know that I can't do anything at this point. I've already parented my daughters. I can help them with my grandchildren, and I can tell them what my experience was, so that will help them. But you still have time, Ryan. If you've got small children, you still have time, and you can make those decisions now. And what's great about that is, collectively as a community, when you see so many other parents and everybody's telling their children, let's wait, it makes it so much easier. They can't say, but everybody else has a phone, and you can say, no, they don't.
Yeah.
Because all these parents are committed to waiting, and that's why it really is so important to spread and to tell parents, it'll be easier if we know we're all in this together and that we're all saying no and we're all doing the right thing. Then it's a collective action.
Absolutely. And we have things like the Wait Till Ninth Pledge, which is just where families are saying that we as a family are deciding that we will wait until 9th grade to get our kids a smartphone. And that doesn't mean that they can't have the little flip phone if they need to have some type of communication for extracurricular activities or whatever. Or my girls have the not smart watches. I don't like to use the word dumb, but some people say dumb watches. I don't know, but it's
Analog.
they can text, like, select people that I choose, and they can call select people, but they're not connected to the internet, and people who, like, I don't allow, can't contact them. The smartphone, when a kid has a smartphone, they have access to the entire world, and the entire world has access to them, and that's the difference. So the Wait Till Ninth idea, and it's on the Restoring Childhood website, www.restoringchildhoodputnamcounty.com. But it's just this idea that if we get these groups of families in our area all agree to wait till ninth, then they can say, we're not alone in this. When the kid's like, I'm the only one without a phone, you say, nope, that family doesn't, that family doesn't.
My daughter's phone is like your girl's watch, where it's who I approve. It's not a smartphone. It looks like a smartphone, but it isn't one. That was our little compromise. But when the schools switched to saying, well, you've got to lock it away all day, she said, I'm just going to leave it at home.
Awesome.
Because there's no reason to bring it. And she really only used it for rehearsal and things like that. But her director for her drama club is so good with communication. We never even needed it. It was just kind of nice at first, not knowing that, for her to have it. But it's rarely even charged these days.
Yeah, that's great.
There's so many, and we can't be grandparents on our cell phones telling them not to be. So this is a whole family kind of thing. And, we've noticed in and of ourselves, it was funny on one of the broadcasts that we had, I had the phone with me, and I stuck it behind my back, and it was buzzing me, the whole time. It was like attacking me.
It's like, I'll show you. You're trying to get rid of me.
Because every 32 seconds, it's buzzing. And my husband Dave, he had a day where he was doing a lot of waiting, and he ended up on social media more than usual. Than he's never on, but the next day, he was just jittery inside, and he was like, I don't know if I want to have these people over. I don't know if I want to. I'm worried about this. And I said, just hold on a second. You are different inside. And he was just anxious and jittery inside. And the next day, he looked at his birds, which he loves, and he can watch his birds, and he breathed, and he really was much more intentional about that. And just the settle down. Yeah. And so if we're going to be present as grandparents and as parents and employees and spouses and all the things, this is not, we're talking about the children. We're part of the system with the children. We've got to, that this is as much for us as it is for any little person in our life.
Absolutely. And
being an educator, that's a huge thing. You have to model, and especially with younger kids, really forever, I think, no matter what they're young or not, but even modeling the think aloud process of, I'm huge on social emotional learning, and, we were going to do this today, but it's not going to work out. I'm frustrated. Let's take a breath. And now using that with my phone as well. Like, I know that some of them don't have that connection because they have an adult that's on the phone the entire time. And so I've started voicing it. Okay, we need to communicate how you're getting home. Let's do that right now. This is why I have my phone out. I'm communicating to find this. I'm not just on it to be on it. And then doing that within my own household, just me and my husband, we're starting, because we didn't have kids, but we are, maybe one day we were like, well, right now we're just going to eat dinner and watch TV. And so we've started to try to be more intentional. We eat breakfast together on the weekends, but now we're like, okay, let's sit down and let's actually have dinner together, and let's have that moment together to connect. And so really starting it with ourselves, let me read it and figure out what I could do better, then help model to other people. Then maybe they'll start to see it and start to do it themselves as well.
Absolutely. And well, he, in this the conclusion chapter, he opens it up by admitting that he did not intend originally to write this book about and for children. That he says, I began writing the book on how social media was damaging American democracy, and how social media has played such a role in just being so divisive in how we, the information we get, the information we spread, how we treat each other, how we speak to each other. And that's what he was starting it as. And that's not kids, that's adults. And we see it every day on Facebook especially, which the students would say is like the old people's social media. But he says, I'd show how it fragmented public discourse, Congress, journalism, universities, and other foundational democratic institutions. And it's true. We see it all the time. And it is so bizarre. So I don't want this to seem like I'm speaking out of two sides of my mouth. Is that what this term is? But whatever. Yeah. Because I have utilized social media to organize people. I mean, I've used it for this cause. We have a Facebook page, we have Instagram. And I am vocal on social media about issues that I care about. And I've used it for the good, to start conversations, to have conversations, even if those conversations are tough. But I've also seen just how divisive anything and everything can be. I could put, we went to play with feral cats today. And somebody's like, oh, well, do you have your rabies shot? Oh, you can't play with feral cats. Oh, well, you're responsible for letting your children near. Like, you cannot say anything on social media without somebody giving an unsolicited opinion, trying to debate you on it. And it has really shifted and changed the way we behave as adults. And that, I think, is the fact that he started off writing about that, I think is important to note. That this actually wasn't about kids at first, but then he started seeing, he got kind of into the rabbit hole of how it impacts kids, but we as adults are very impacted by this.
It's interesting. I love, Rebecca, what you said about modeling and saying your words. And I'm struck that we don't have to say all our words. There's a time we think we're going to explode if we don't say all the things that we're thinking in a social media kind of way. We do not. There is a discipline of not saying all your words, and a discipline of saying deliberately words that are edifying, that are useful and are good, and we've sort of lost sight of the difference between protest and progress. It's like, if I said something on social media, well, I just made progress. And I was talking to a dear friend who has lost contact with her grandchildren and her children, but she keeps saying over and over again, but I need to say all the things that I'm thinking. I'm giving myself permission to say all the things that I'm thinking. And I'm thinking, well, at what cost? And how's that really serving your life right now? You can give yourself permission not to say them too. So that's okay.
I think if we're going to teach our kids good lessons, then we need to teach them about being able and willing to speak those words to their face. If that's going to be what you want to say, would you be able to say that face to face? And I think that that's a good lesson for all of us, because I dare say that most of those people that comment on social media would not have said those things to your face. And I think that's a great lesson for us to model as well for our own children and in the community, because everybody's so willing to criticize others on social media, and I just think that's a bad habit, and we need to be more open to say things face to face, and I bet that conversation would be so much more civil. And that's a great lesson for kids to learn too. Absolutely. So, and I mean, with all the directions technology's going, I think our next step is like, with my community college students, it's like AI. That's the big, I mean, that's a whole nother, mountain that we might have to climb. If we can't conquer this one, how are we gonna, when we've got technology that's thinking? When they're not just letting kids get information, but talking back to them, then we're in real big trouble. So let's figure this out so we can figure that out.
Absolutely.
It's a moment of self-regulation, and if we don't get that self-regulation down, it's like we just discovered sugar, and now we have all of the sugar factories in the form of AI, and because AI is with us, it's going to be, and people are visualizing things and writing things and doing things, and I feel all sorts of ways about it, but it's part of our reality, and without the self-regulation, we're really in deep. I mean, it's and isn't it interesting how this little book leads us into all these different conversations?
Absolutely.
We're talking about the soil. We're talking about society. We're talking about we're talking about all the things, and I love that that's the conversation that we're in.
Yeah, our book study that we've had, we probably haven't spent a collective 30 minutes actually discussing this book when we're together. We end up on so many other topics because everybody's reading the book, and we get together with the intention of discussing a certain chapter, but then we just get off on all these other tangents. But we're having those face-to-face conversations, which are so important. So One of the parents that was there was saying, I'm sorry I took us down a rabbit hole. I said, no, like we're living the movement. The kids are out here playing.
Yep.
They're doing risky play.
Yep.
We're having a face-to-face conversation. Nobody's phone is out. That this is the good stuff. Like,
Yeah.
don't apologize for this.
Right.
And I mean, it actually, that is not off topic to this, because on page 292, one of the things he's talking about is link up, like connect with other parents, get, build the community that can really fortify these ideas and turn them into tangible action. And that reminds me so much of, I had the opportunity, Sarah Johnson, a local speech and language pathologist, led the study at Slice Pizza and Games, and they met every Monday. And it was a small little group, but they met, and she said she loved the conversations. And she said very often they would get off topic, but the conversations were great. And if I look at the group of people that were a part of those conversations, they were from all different walks of life. They were not part of the same political parties, but they were connecting, and they were connecting over pizza, and it's so cool. And I had the privilege of going to their last session because the girls were practicing Wizard of Oz that night, and I had an open night, and she'd invited me, and it was their last session, and I went, and it was so, I say precious, but they're like older people. They're not little children, but it was precious, sweet. I don't know what the word is. But one of the older gentlemen was like, can we keep doing this? Like, even though this is over, I want to stay in contact. I want to keep this community. I want to have conversations about other things.
That's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
because the gathering thing.
Yeah.
We've talked about it.
Yes.
People aren't in the habit of gathering anymore, and so we've started something here, and people are enjoying those gatherings, and it's important to feed this good thing and keep gathering and keep getting together.
Well, and we forget how good it can feel, and that it doesn't have to be so, everything doesn't have to be so divisive, and that we often do, when we get down to it, have a lot more to agree on than we have to disagree on.
Absolutely.
And even as you were saying, there are things that people have said to me online that they would never say to my face, because I've challenged them in person and they quickly backtrack.
Exactly.
But when we're together and we have to say these words to, each other and look at each other in the eyes, we kind of take stock of what we really want to say in those moments. And like in that, what you all were talking about, like your book study and the Slice book study, I think there is more room for making that real human connection and trying to build from there. And it doesn't mean we all have to agree on everything, and we probably never will. But it does mean that I think we are hungry for real human connection, and these cell phones have taken that away from us. And the moments where we're reintroduced to how good that feels, I think it hits something deep in our soul.
Well, and you've seen the brain scans, where using social media, and you're lighting up just the same parts of your brain that you use to open a can, use a can opener. But when you're reading a physical book, or when you're having a conversation or hugging somebody, if you get or the conversation we're having right now, our brains are lit up in a whole different way all over. So we're literally able to think differently when we're in each other's face to face than when we're on a cell. So of course we're going to say different things. I mean, because our whole prefrontal cortex is not engaged when we're on social media and these other things. So it's so good for us all to be together and to be speaking with each other.
I feel like one of the sneaky things with social media is it's the illusion of connection, but really you're so disconnected. You feel like you're reaching everybody. I'm talking to my friends back in Knoxville and my family that's out of town, but really you're not having that real time back and forth conversation like we're getting to have right now.
And 62% of people say they feel isolated and lonely. 62%. So
I saw something yesterday to your point about it was really about finding joy. And when you mentioned the older gentleman wanting to continue, that's really about finding joy.
Yeah.
Because our bodies and our brains are just such a mysterious thing. But you find joy and your brain lights up and you release endorphins and everything just from somebody smiling at you.
Yeah.
And those face-to-face connections, that's what he wants. And by the way, I'll try to help with your movement here too.
Yeah, exactly.
But that generation of older people like myself and older who are retired, that's what a resource that you have. If you want to push a movement, you get a bunch of old people on it that are retired that know what like finding joy and connection with people feels like and looks like.
Yeah.
Oh man. You can't stop us.
And then you have, one pattern language. It's a language as old as humankind and all around the world is multi-generational activity.
Yeah.
So when you talk about places where different generations can hang together and be together, we try to do that at the bookshop, but in the parks or in the other places, we don't need places where just kids are. My husband's always saying, he's like, why do we have to go always to where the kids are and do all their things? Why can't they just kind of come along sometimes and do some of our things? And he was raised in a time, and I was too, where I went and I did the adult things with the adults.
Yeah.
And just this week, I got to witness somebody who was working with us, and he was out in the yard. He was planting hydrangeas, helping us plant hydrangeas, and he brought his little boy with him. And his little boy worked for 5 hours with him. He carried the shovel. He was delighted. And I was looking at the end of the day, and it was starting to drizzle. And I got some pictures because this child was on fire. He was just all about digging these holes and helping with these hoes and doing stuff. There was no social media, and it was just joy to watch this young father and his child, doing this thing outside. So sometimes this is risky play, but getting the kids to come and do the thing that we're doing and that's multi-generational, and it's also really so educational and wonderful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think part of it too that will help out in the community, being in the tail end of what was studied in the book of the anxiety of getting back out into the real world, getting out into the community. That is one thing I'm very thankful for plenty of all of the book studies you guys have and book clubs, and taking the moment of, okay, I'm going to invite a friend, so I'll have a friend that can come with me and I won't be alone. But then I always end up wandering away from my friend and meeting other people. And so knowing in that moment of it's okay to go out and go into my community, and I always meet other people and I'm always connecting with other people, that I can then have that other connection of, we went to a book study and she was talking about suffrage. And I was like, wait, I teach that. Can you come and read a book about suffrage at school? Like, I was like making those connections. And so knowing that it's okay to be a little worried and go out there, it's okay. Like, go by yourself, ask a friend to come help you, because it might not seem really easy, but I never regret it once I go do it. There's always I missed that book study last night, or I missed the book club. And then I get to talk to a friend about it, and I'm like, oh, I should have gone. Like, I never regret not going, but I regret when I don't go. And so going out into the community, going to an event, or, hey, let's go to the park today and go out and be in the community rather than behind a screen, I think is very beneficial, and we need to kind of push out of that comfort zone that we're getting into.
And we have so many good things. Hip Cookville and our art scene, our drama scene. I mean, you can do something, hear music every night of the week in Cookville. And we think we don't have anything. We're like, oh, there's nothing to do. There's tons to do. There's tons to do to lean in and to get. So when we talk about linking up and inviting a friend and doing, I think that's part of our next step.
Yeah.
We're going to do something next year, I hope, a community-wide read of The Art of Neighboring.
Oh, cool.
And it's a tic-tac-toe board, and you put yourself in the center. And the challenge is to, love like Jesus and try to, really actually know your neighbors. So if you know, things about the neighbor in front of you, behind you, to side, and to the corners, once you fill in the whole tic-tac-toe, you win, okay? And then we have a community, I envision having a community dinner or something where we all kind of come together together and have a celebration of knowing each other as neighbors, because we,
That's a great idea.
it's a great place to start. It's like, do I know everybody around me? Do I know 3 names in the household? Do I know 5 things about them? So it challenges you to know some really basic things about your neighbors.
Yeah.
And I think that's another, there's places to start everywhere.
Yeah.
And something's going to speak to somebody. Yeah.
Take a book to your neighbor.
I love that.
So, just as we kind of wrap up, or before we wrap up, I guess, are there anything, if you had your kind of final say about this book, or the main thing that stood out, whether it's in this conclusion or just the book as a whole, what is the main thing? What is like the main takeaway for you, or the main thing that you would share?
I think for me, we were kind of discussing this before we were rolling, was how we are all very guilty of being on our phones, and I've been a lot more intentional about putting the phone away. And I've noticed I do feel guilty if I go back and check the phone, a couple hours later and I've missed messages. My instinct is to say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have my phone, but I was born in 1982. I had lived a lot of my life without a smartphone.
Yeah.
We didn't have to apologize for missing a message. We would just get back to them when we could, and people understood that. And I've noticed my other friends that have read this book, they'll say, don't apologize, you were doing stuff, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because we're so used to being expected to always be available. Mm-hmm. And so just taking that moment to be aware of how connected we are, and leaving the phone in the other room to go fold laundry, or over fall break, I took my daughter to a theme park, and I was very intentional to not pull the phone out every time we were in line waiting.
Yeah.
We were just bored and waiting, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's muscle motor. Like you're in line at Walmart and you pull out the phone. You're in line at Disney World, and it's so
we're having to retrain our bodies to not reach for the phone.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true, and it's an addiction.
Yep.
So I guess my thing is this is bad. It's really deeply bad. It's our cigarette moment. It's a crisis, and it's a crisis that we all can agree on and see and understand together. So it's a collective crisis. And as hard and bad as that is, there's another book I'm reading called Effortless by Greg McKeown, and he asks the question, what if it was easy?
Yeah.
And because it is, and I've heard some people say, was it really this easy to take phones away and see kids interacting and talking? Was it really this easy to take phones away and restore our relationships and improve our relationships with others? It is. It can be effortless.
Yeah.
As hard as it is, it also can be effortless.
Yeah.
And so I think if my big takeaway is, what if it's easy? What if we can really make radical change easily?
Yeah.
It's not too late to do that.
No, we can pivot today.
I would say be open, but be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You need to be open of the change and reading it and being like, whoa, I did not know that. Be uncomfortable in the moment of, maybe I should step away from this. I need to be uncomfortable without my phone next to me. I need to be uncomfortable with not responding right away. A friend and I have a joke now. We're like, we can never get a hold of each other because we're never with our phones anymore. Like, you never answer my phone calls. And so being uncomfortable in the moment and being able to grow in the, I need to step away, I need to let it go, but then being open to other ideas and being open to, this isn't a smack on the hand like I feel like some parents might feel. It's we can change something. I'm open to it. Let's see where my steps can go.
It's actually holding the hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said.
Gosh, such wisdom. From I'm listening to everybody, and I'm that. There's so much to gain from this, but just listening to you just then, it's like being willing to look at ourselves honestly to look at ourselves, not everybody else, and judge what they need to do, but look at ourselves and say, what do I need to change about myself before I go out and tell everybody else what to change about themselves?
Yeah.
Look at ourselves, change what we need to do, and commit ourselves to being connected to people.
Yeah.
And, and again, once we do that and see the joy that we get from that, I think it's going to be easy. Yes, it was easy, but it also took some courage to do.
Yeah.
And it also takes some hard looks at ourselves,
Yep.
too. So I think that's what we need to commit to, is look at ourselves, what changes we need to make, and then encourage others, and I think we're going to see amazing things in this community.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I live here
Yeah.
with
glad to be here
amazing
as well.
people who are willing to do that.
Yeah, that has been truly overwhelming in a great way, is to see the quality of people, the talents and the gifts that people have that they've brought to this movement has just been overwhelming in the best possible way. And I agree with you. Like, what a amazing privilege, and I hope to just see it grow and keep happening in that way. When I think about, for me, the thing that stands out the most, and the reason that I immediately put this book down and emailed Corby King and was like, we have to do something, the school system has to do something, was the information, the science, the research. What we're seeing is bleak, but it's absolutely happening. You cannot deny it. It is there. It's in your face. If you're a teacher, you see it maybe more than some. If you're a parent, you see it. It is there. It's real, and it's happening. And it's bleak. It's daunting. However, in here, he also pitches change, and that it is not too late, and that there is a possibility to turn this thing around, and it is through collective action. And that is something that I have seen my entire life. I've been part of different grassroots movements to bring collective action in all different types of things. But the fact that he pitches that as the solution, and it really is the only solution for this, I find that to be very powerful. And that is the big takeaway for me. And it was the reason that I wrote the 70-page thing that I made everybody read and whatever.
Incredible.
But yeah, there's such power in collective. There's such power in the people that you're referencing, and the people who have all thrown their weight behind this. And such power in people who haven't even gotten involved here yet. And that collective, that's where we see the power, and I think that's where we're really, really going to see incredible change in this community when it comes to this.
Lovely.
So yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this movement as a whole. This episode, the other episodes you've been on, and all the talks and things that I've drug you out of your own things for, I really do appreciate it, and all the hard work everyone's done, and the ways that you've partnered and come behind this. And as I said, this is a kind of a two-part finale, so you all will stay around, and we'll invite some other friends here, and next week we'll be discussing the way forward and what's next. So thank you so much. Thanks for helping us get on the same page.